Hello and welcome to episode 92 of the Skip View podcast. My name is Dean.
My name is Brett.
And did I just find a new setting? I think I did. I think I just found a cool little setting. I'm going to use this later. This is I totally got off track there. NL Central preview, correct?
Yep, episode 92.
So this is the second to last of Brett's little outlooks for the season. We'll go over some MLB news. There's some big news, but not a lot since our last episode. So we'll jump into that, and then we will be good.
Yeah, definitely some big news. And we'll start off with the one thing we were debating and talking about at the end of last episode, Clayton Kershaw on the Dodgers. So he signs. I don't know if anything came out in terms of money yet, but he's 36 years old. He's going to be with the Dodgers next year, and he has an option for 2025. So pretty expected. I don't think there's anything real noteworthy here besides the Dodgers just got a lot more lethal on paper.
Well, he'll be out. He's not starting the season.
That's why I'm saying on paper until June or July when he comes back, and then maybe his numbers have been solid his last 200 plus innings.
Well, yeah, he was great last year outside the playoffs. I think the contract is $10 million. So, and again, they do that option. He's just going to be year by year for the rest of his career if this isn't his last year.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Will it be his last year? I don't know. If he puts up numbers that he did last season this year, I'm assuming he's going to go for it again, especially with just the roster that they have.
Mm-hmm. Let's just dive in. I have it outdated, different number here, but you got your bell.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll beep that out.
Riverside, that's it out.
Okay, awesome. Well, next big thing, Jose Altuve, which we'll have a piece right after this actually releases this podcast, or actually it'll probably come out before the podcast release. But it's about Altuve and the Astros in general. But Altuve inked a 5-year extension worth $125 million. He'll be 39 when the contract finishes. Thoughts at Dean?
I don't like Jose Altuve. We now have a troll who is following everything that we do and just like commenting on. I won't block him because I won't fall for that. But yeah, very annoying. The Astros cheated to prove that they cheated. I still believe that he was wearing some sort of device to do so. Yeah, my mind will change on that.
I think it's proven that they cheated, but he is just overall a good player.
Well, it's proven that they cheated. It's not proven. I think it was like actually dismissed that he had any sort of device on, but I don't care. I'm still going with that. He did cheat, so which I have the right to do.
Personally, you have a bone to pick. Which
in terms of the contract, I don't think it was good. I don't think it was a good contract.
You think he got overpaid?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's 35, 34. He's getting $25 million a season for the next 5 years. That's too much.
Yeah, I was curious because I looked at the Houston payroll really quickly before this. They're third in payroll for 2024, which was unexpected for me. I guess I didn't realize how much Abreu was taking up. And others in there, but because I figured it'd be low because they call up a lot of guys that they produce, and like Kyle Tucker has not been paid. Bregman's due an extension. I didn't think it would be third in the league, but they are currently third in the league. So I don't think that the Altuve deal, in terms of paying for that right now, was the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. But Bregman's 4 years younger than him. You could argue. I mean, he's not as productive. You could argue, but he's 4 years younger than him, and he needs an extension this year as well. So you're going to spend it on him with Kyle Tucker coming up after next year. I think Tucker has one more year of arbitration, but they really should lock him up. He's. You could argue he's their best player.
Kyle Tucker, I think he is their best player.
Yeah, I think he is too.
Yeah, but they have 17, almost 18 million in McCullers. They have, they have big contracts. But we'll move on.
They just signed Hader. Abreu is still going to be on the books for I think at least one more season after this. So I don't know.
He's
I
getting
think
19 and a half.
if you want to say Altuve deserved the deal based on his production in the past, like obviously, yeah. But in terms of going forward, no, I don't think it's a good deal.
Yeah. So, Dinelson Lamet, guy, good stuff. I like him. He signed a minor league deal with the Dodgers. Interesting. A lot of injuries in his career, a lot of inconsistency, but when he's on, he is on. And I think he's going to play a reliever role here for this team in the back end of the season, or maybe even like a real late swing starter if they need him to like go 3-4 innings at the beginning of a game. I don't know if that's his role anymore in his career, but interesting news. Pick up a solid arm for not a real big commitment. I did see the Kraken. What?
Yeah, we were high on Lamet like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm saying he had stuff, and I think he still has shown stuff over the last few years, but he's been inconsistently injured, and that's why he didn't get a deal. He's and he kind of phased out of the majors, and he's now just kind of a insurance piece. Like, hey, if we can't get our bullpen together, we have this arm in the minor league system locked up. I thought it was a good addition for the Dodgers that a team like the Athletics should be making. Like, why are they just sitting? They could have gotten this guy for nothing.
Well, it's because he was terrible in the majors last year.
Yeah, I get that, but you gotta sometimes look at the upside of what somebody can be, not just like 1 year sample size. These guys, they play so many games for high volumes of data for a reason. Like they need volume in this game.
Well, so
we'll move on.
Hasn't had. So, well, I just want to counter that. I'm looking at stats.
I didn't think this validated that big of a discussion. Honestly, he's got talent. He's not worth it anymore.
So 2017, he had 114 innings pitched with 4.57 ERA and 93 ERA plus. 2019, so he didn't pitch in 2018. 2019, he had 73 innings, 4.07. 2020, which is when we were like, oh, Lamet's going to be great. We drafted in a bunch of leagues. He played very well, 2.09, 69 innings, 12 starts, 201 ERA plus. But again, like, not a full season. After that, he's been well below average. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, but for a minor league arm, I'm taking a chance. Okay. After that, the Kraken, Gary Sanchez, he signed with Milwaukee. I think this is a really good deal for Milwaukee. Gary's got a bunch of pop. Who do they got up there now? Contreras.
Yeah, so Sanchez is playing as a backup role.
And I think like similar to the Mitch Garver and Seattle signing, this is to get some pop backing up on the days, behind the bump, the days that Contreras won't be available. Gary Sanchez, I was listening to something too. He did increase his defensive metrics, like his efficiency, and did well with Blake Snell last year. Like Blake Snell was on when he pitched with Gary Sanchez. But I think the Gary Sanchez, when his worst defensive stuff was going on, they were saying that was also going on at the same time when he was mashing the ball his best. So like maybe that correlated to the defense a little bit, but $7 million, 1 year, not a big commitment, solid baseball player, good deal for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, Sanchez is going to be year to year until the end of his career. I don't think any team is going to give him a multi-year deal unless it's something with like a team option. Because again, he still hits like around the Mendoza line. I guess he could be a good backup. Well, he is a good backup to Contreras, and you could probably slide him into the DH spot if needed for a few games.
Yeah. Philly, Brandon Marsh, solid defensive outfielder, underwent successful left knee arthroscopic debridement surgery and is expected to be ready for opening day, according to Fantasy Pros. Is this the sign? Is this what we've been waiting for? Not that we want anyone to ever get injured. State that again. We don't want anyone to get injured. Is it time for Philly to pull the trigger and sign Bellinger?
No.
I know they're saying he's ready by opening day, but like...
Yeah, but Brandon Marsh isn't like a game changer.
Exactly, and Belly is. I think that maybe this is your time to be like, hey, we signed him not to replace you, but
you're making it seem like Brandon Marsh is the reason they should go and sign Bellinger. I don't think that's true.
I guess the way I worded it is bad. Yeah, you're right. I just keep hearing Belly's
he's very
name circled there.
he's very solid. But like if Harper got hurt, then maybe you could argue going and getting Bellinger. But I don't think the difference honestly
Is Marsh. Okay.
I'll pull up the Wars. I'll pull up the Wars. I don't. If I had to guess, Bellinger had a good season. Like, what do you think the difference in WAR between Marsh and Bellinger is? Because again, you have to take into Marsh's defensive.
I don't know. Bellinger did a lot, and I have a bone to pick with the Cubs about this actually, because I was looking at Bellinger's stats last year. Like, Bellinger was their second leading like base stealer. He also mashed, and like, if you look at the Cubs' hitting statistics, which we'll talk about later, you'll see why I'm upset. So Brandon Marsh's WAR career, he's a 5.2 WAR.
No, I'm talking about last
year.
I'm not talking about career. I'm talking about last season. If I had to guess,
he had a 3.4
difference. Because you let me finish.
Sorry.
If I had to guess, the difference between Bellinger's WAR and Marsh's WAR is like 1.2 or less. I don't know if you have Bellinger's up.
I had Brandon Marsh's. He had a 3.4.
So Marsh's was what?
3.4 WAR last year.
Okay, and what's Bellinger's?
Cody Bellinger's according to Baseball Reference he had a 4.4 last year, so it was a 1 difference,
okay.
A 1 game.
Yeah, so pretty much 1.2 below, like I just said. I'm going to pull up their contract now.
Both their contracts? I could pull up Belly's.
Well, I know Bellinger doesn't have a contract. So Marsh is in arbitration, so they're not even going to have to pay him that much. He's under team control for 3 more years. Bellinger is asking for a 10-year deal or a 6 to 10-year deal, correct?
I don't even know what he's asking for at this point.
It's something crazy.
I'm kind of waiting for someone to sign.
I've heard as high as like an annual value of like $25 million. So no, I don't think they should go and sign Cody Bellinger.
No, you're right. You're right. Maybe I'm reading into the. They say he's ready by opening day, but I don't know. I don't like knee injuries. No one does, but I really don't. Corey Kluber retired this morning. 13 years in the league. 3-time All-Star, 2-time Cy Young winner, 2-time AL wins leader, 1-time AL ERA leader. He also pitched a no-hitter on May 19, 2021. Great pitcher in our time, Corey Kluber. We'll miss him. And finally, I want your take on this. Netflix, Boston Red Sox. Lock it in. It's happening. They're getting a docuseries. What are your thoughts of them just filming the utter dumpster fire inside the Boston locker room?
Yeah, I mean, I assume this had to have been. There's a lot of people online who are now getting more frustrated with the Red Sox based on the fact that they knew this document. Now, if this docuseries goes multiple years, I don't have an issue with it. If this is like a 1 year, like a Hard Knocks thing, this is like Hard Knocks for baseball, which maybe Hard Knocks goes all year long now.
I know they have 2 seasons. Do they have 2? Sorry,
the Dolphins were followed all year. The Dolphins were followed all year.
So my question though isn't about the Dolphins being followed all year. Didn't they do 2 teams in 1 year at one point?
Maybe, but the Dolphins are followed all year. So my point is it Hard Knocks where they're just following a different team every year, or is this exclusively a like Red Sox Fenway Sports Group Netflix deal where they'll do this every year or maybe follow like one of their other teams? I don't know. I don't know if those details have come out. What a lot of people are upset about in like Red Sox Twitter is that if they knew this was coming, which this didn't just come to light, like this, they've been probably working on a contract for at least a year. If they knew this was coming, why wouldn't they put a little more emphasis on building a team? I think that's a dumb argument, frankly. Like, you're going to build a team and spend money because there's a documentary getting made. Like, I think that's a dumb reason. Essentially every single team. What?
I disagree with you. I think that's all the reason to do it.
You're going to forcibly spend money on guys who don't fit the team because it's a Netflix documentary.
Well, you never used the word forcibly, and you never used the word who don't fit, and you don't fit the team. Like Blake Snell fits your team right now.
No, he doesn't.
And tell me how Blake Snell joins the Boston Red Sox today. He is your best starting pitcher in your rotation.
But he doesn't fit the team. There's no team around him.
They have Yoshida. They have
No,
Devers.
so
They
they're
have
trying to trade They're
Durant.
trying to trade Masataka because defensively he's terrible, and offensively he's like slightly above average. Devers is very good. Casas had a great season. The rest of their team is in the minors. Like
And I don't, I don't, I don't
Just signing
disagree with
Blake
you.
Snell, just signing Blake Snell doesn't fix the team. So that by that fact,
But
it does not
there,
fit the team.
there's no player in baseball where you sign one guy and it fixes the team. The Red Sox need
Yes.
to completely
So Shohei
and
Ohtani,
Blake Snell.
if they went and signed Shohei Ohtani, then yes, then that fixes the team. You put Ohtani
Uh,
starting and hitting, not this season, but yeah, that's what you're doing. But
okay, how does
signing
that
31 year
doesn't make
old,
sense to
signing
me.
who you're saying who's going to be a game changer, like completely fix the
Uh,
team by themselves.
but I'm saying
Ohtani
Ohtani
could
doesn't.
join the Red Sox and completely change. If Ohtani joined the Red Sox, it would completely change the the landscape of the team. Blake Snell joining the team at 31 years old for a probably 6-year contract with a very high AAV does not fit the Red Sox.
My question though is you're saying Ohtani he would have fixed the Red Sox. Let's get one thing clear. Ohtani's not pitching this year. So that, and I'm not saying that Blake Snell is better than Shohei
No, so
Ohtani. It's
you're
not what I'm
okay,
saying at
but
all.
no, you're saying there's not one singular player that will fix a team. That's what you said, and I responded with
Like you guys could
the
have
only
gone Juan
singular.
Soto.
No, they would have to trade their prospects for him. That defeats the purpose, and
But I'm
you
saying
can't
there's not
you can't
one.
guarantee that you're going to sign him.
Okay, but there's not one option that fixes the Red Sox here. They have a young core of guys that they can't really trade. You need to go sign guys like Blake Snell who aren't gonna you could pay him a large AAV. You just don't need to give him a lot of years. Like that. That's the
But
key to
he's not
signing
going to
Blake
take a lot
Snell.
because you're just imagining things. Then he's not going to take a 1 year, 2 year deal.
No, I'm
What
talking
does
like a
that do? The
6 year
team's
deal.
not competitive.
I'm talking a
Yeah, so
six
no,
year deal.
they should not sign him to a 6-year deal.
What
I'd rather
pitching
than wait.
will that?
What's up?
What and this will be the last question I ask about this because I don't want to talk about the Red Sox. But like, what pitching do they have from right now between now and 2020? Let's call it 2027.
But
Like
we're not
without
talking about. But
signing
they can
somebody.
sign. But why? But why would they forcibly sign Blake Snell now when their team is not ready? Then wait a season and sign the great pitchers that come out of the next 2 seasons.
So to answer your question on that, I think one to stay somewhat competitive, somewhat. They're top 10 in spending already. I know they're saying they're not trying to spend, but that like their payroll is what it is. It's top 10. It's 150. They're spending how much this year? 155 in base salaries. Are paying 180 million in payroll this year. They have who's big money on their, and they just dumped Sale, which obviously makes sense given what you're saying. Like I'm not arguing the concept of it, but I'm saying like Trevor Story, obviously he's there. He's a big salary dump, and when's he gone? He'll be there till when?
I think it's 2026, 2027.
I just think that you could afford to, throw him in there with Giolito and Jensen. You got Snell in there. You just got a
They're
veteran
trying to trade
outfielder in
Kenley Jansen.
O'Neill.
They're trying to, but you don't know what you're talking. They're trying to trade Kenley
Yeah,
Jansen. They
you say that about every player though on the Red Sox. They're trying to trade. They got to field
no,
somebody.
they are trying to trade Kenley Jansen. That's like out.
I,
They're actively trading him.
Do you not understand what I'm saying? You just said this about Yoshida as well. They can't trade away everybody. They have to start some
Yeah,
players.
but they
So
are actively trying to trade these guys.
I understand. They're still there today. Like the day, like we're
Yeah,
talking about today. They are there today.
But okay, the point of this was I said you shouldn't spend just for a Netflix documentary. You're saying they should. The argument here is should they spend a bunch of money because there's going to be a Netflix documentary? I am saying no. You were saying yes.
Have you ever heard the terms you got to spend money to make money? How much money do they make on the outwards deal of this Netflix deal? I guarantee that's why they did it. They wouldn't let video cameras come in there.
Fuck ton of money,
video,
no matter what.
Whoa.
It has nothing. It doesn't matter. That's why John Henry won't sell the team. What you just said makes absolutely no sense for what the Red Sox should be doing. You should not make baseball decisions because of a Netflix documentary.
But I'm saying if you're trying to make some money and Netflix is a good way
Brett,
to broadcast your team,
it's more entertaining if the team is terrible to watch than if the team is good.
I'm not gonna argue
I
you
literally
with
tweeted out
this.
they're going to be the number one comedy because the team is awful. No, that's a stupid argument. Like throwing $30 million a year at Blake Snell for the reason, which is what you're arguing. Like, we're not arguing baseball. I'm arguing for the Netflix documentary. Throwing $30 million at Blake Snell because they're going to have a Netflix documentary is stupid.
I wouldn't sign Blake Snell alone, though. I wouldn't sign any player alone for a Netflix documentary. I would.
But that's
It would
what that's
entice. It would entice me to sign a lot more or be more active than I've been if I'm an owner. That's for sure, and
that.
I'll end it on there for myself.
Well, that's not
That
what
is
the
where I'm
argument
at.
was. The argument was that
But
people are
I'm not.
upset.
But you're taking it as an ultimatum. It's not one or nothing. Like, yeah, I would
No,
sign
but
guys. I would. I
okay,
wouldn't
but
sign
you're
stupid
barely on
deals.
Twitter. You're barely on Twitter. There are people on Twitter. You tweet like once a week. There are people on Twitter who are genuinely annoyed at the Red Sox. Okay, for the reason that if they were going to have a Netflix documentary, then they should have spent money to make the team look good in the Netflix documentary. I think that's dumb.
And if they're simply that's their one reason, I don't think you should ever
That
do
is what they're
anything for one
saying.
reason.
That is what they're saying. That's the point I brought
Yeah.
it up.
But I think you should spend a little bit, not just do what you've done. You're dying on the side of the road. Like,
The past 2 seasons, they've been dying on the side of the road because they stopped.
I read an article about this too. These conversations started 18 months ago, which means the Red Sox ownership
I know this.
knew well in advance it was coming, and they didn't do anything to help this at all.
But that's my point. That's my point. Why spend?
So you're siding
money?
with the owners.
In this situation, I am because that's a stupid. It's the same reason that fans forced the ownership. They didn't force the ownership, but bitched and moaned that they should have signed Trevor Story. They should have never signed Trevor Story. He was 30 years old. He was coming off his worst season, and he was injured.
All right, we're going down a story tangent. We got to move on from the Red
No,
Sox.
you know what I'm talking about. I would never argue. Yeah, I mean, who's the center fielder for the Yankees, Brett, last year? I mean, come on, like.
Really want to start with me on this? There's Bader at the end of the year, by the way.
I'm gonna find the episode. I definitely tweeted about it. I'm just gonna clip that, and every week I'm gonna send it out and tag you in it.
Because of one mishap, one time.
Yep.
And all the times you've ever been wrong. All right, next subject. Reds. Let's talk about Cincinnati. Cincinnati Reds. They are coming off an 82.
Skipped Corey Kluber. You skipped Corey Kluber retiring.
We already talked about Kluber. You went on.
When did we talk about Corey Kluber retiring?
Rewind the episode. We talked about it while your bell was like right before your bell went off. We addressed it. 13 seasons.
Fine.
Too busy getting mad at me about your Red Sox. It's called misdirected anger out here, but we'll talk about the NL Central. Reds are an exciting team. Cincinnati is exciting. They were young last year. They went 82 and 80. They had Elly De La Cruz, all this hype about the young guys. They still win barely above 500. Quick look at their stats. They were 16th, middle of the league in batting average, 10th in OBP, 5th in strikeouts as a lineup, which means they struck out a lot. When it came to stolen bases, they led the league. A large portion of that was Elly De La Cruz. But they had 3 guys steal 20 or more bags. TJ Friedel and Jake Fraley contributed to that. And Will Benson at 19. So they almost had 4 guys steal 20 or more bags. This is a very exciting team moving forward. Their pitching, though, they had a 4.83 and a cumulative ERA, which was 25th in the league. They also had a 1.42 whip, which was 25th in the league. The pitching wasn't there. Looked quickly at their, depth chart, payroll for this year, and they signed Heimer Candelario. They virtually returned the entire lineup except for Joey Votto. He's, looking for greener pastures. But right now, in the rotation, they got Hunter Green. He's got an electric fastball. Nick Lodolo dealt with injuries all year last year. Graham Ashcraft, who was shaky but has upside. Frankie Montas, who, we know he's got talent, and now that he's in Cincinnati, a smaller city, I guarantee he's going to go off, unlike how he did in New York. Andrew Abbott looked really good when he came out last year and then kind of got humbled a little bit And then Brandon Williamson, another high-end pitcher with Connor Phillips. So they got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys right now. And that's not including one of their top prospects, Rhett Lauder, who they just drafted, that they could throw in here. They also signed Nick Martinez, who will probably be a flex option starting guy, but he'll come out of the bullpen. They got Alexis Diaz, Edwin Diaz, little brother, closing games. Lucas Sims, who's a reliable arm in the bullpen. Emilio Pagan, TJ Antone. So the arms on paper are there. It's the performance that wasn't. So realistically, for the Reds, I don't think they have to do anything. I think they simply need to hope the arms get healthy and hope the arms perform and develop. Do you have any takes on the Reds or anything they should be doing at this point?
I thought it was crazy that Dylan in the MLB's top 100. This is the only thing, and then we can move on. That Dylan Cease is ranked above Elly De La Cruz. I know Elly De La Cruz is like a lot of hype to it, but when you look at Cease's stats last year, I mean, I tweeted it the other day. He just fell off a cliff, and Elly's got so much upside, and I just think that it's insane that people are so high on Cease.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you in terms of the upside, but was the list set? Like, was it an upside list? Were there other high end, younger guys ranked highly on there, or was it like appropriate to like your MLB performance thus far?
I think it was just off of last season.
Okay, because I was gonna say Elly, he batted 230. He batted 235. His OPS was a 710. Like, I agree. He stole 35 bases, and he was electric, right? And he had some of the hard throws across the diamond, some of the hardest hit rates you'll see. But that doesn't mean overall great player. He's talented as hell. I love Elly. So yeah, a good call out though. I don't think that Cease is better than Elly De La Cruz.
It's not that I dislike Dylan Cease, but when you look at his just metrics last year, I hate being an analytical person because I'm not an analytical person. But as everything went down, like the hard hit rate went up. So
another thing for the Reds, outside of their lineup, which you got the names like Friedel, Fraley, Benson, McLean, Elly. You got Heimer Candelario now. They got Noelvi Marte, who's the number one prospect in the system. Spencer Steer. Yeah, Spencer Steer. And then finally, you got some other guys all just waiting here. Rhett Lauder, Cam Collier. Well, he's 19. He's super young, but he'll be up in a couple of years. Chase Petty, he's 20 years old. He's supposed to be up next year. He's a talented right-hand pitcher. And then you also got Sal Stewart. He's a third baseman in high A right now, 2026. They got some guys. And then not to mention Ty Floyd, who was just drafted out of LSU. He will be up in 2026 most likely, another right-hander. So they have arms and a few more positional players in the ranks coming up. Cincinnati's in a really, really good position. Pirates, last year, 24th in batting average in the league, 21st in OBP, 10th in strikeouts. So they were top third in strikeouts, bottom thirds in batting average and OBP. They were not good hitting the ball. They were middle of the pack, stealing bases. So they weren't aggressive, or they weren't on base enough to steal. So probably the latter there. And then, you got the pitching, which was 22nd in both ERA and WHIP. The Pirates were not good. They were 10 games below 500, and that makes sense. But they have a lot to look forward to. And, guess who the highest paid player on the Pirates is right now per annual average value?
What about this Chapman?
For this year? Yep. That's a problem. According to SpotTrack, for 2024,
well, I mean, who's their top?
Brian Reynolds.
Who's their top player? Right? Oh, yeah, Reynolds. Reynolds? Wait, Chapman makes more a year than Reynolds?
Reynolds this year Reynolds is due a contract, I think. He makes $10.25 million a year, and that contract will... he signed an 8-year, 107... Oh, so I think the deal kicks in next year where he gets a lot more. Next year he makes 12, then 14, then 15, then 15, then 15, then 18, or then 15 again. And 20 is last year. So it didn't kick in yet. But as of for 2024, Aroldis Chapman is your highest paid player, and you just got him 3 weeks ago. Or whatever it was. I don't even think it was that long ago. Getting those curls
in January.
Yeah. So this is a problem. The bullpen is solid with your setup man now and Bednar, between Chapman and Bednar. The starting pitching, not great. Who's the best starter is probably Mitch Keller. They have JT Brubaker, Bailey Falter, Johan Oviedo, Marco Gonzalez, who, that's a dumpster fire right now. Quinn Priester and Martin Perez. Marco Gonzalez had some good stuff. Seattle moved him in the Atlanta deal, and then they, I think, let him go, and Pittsburgh picked him up and signed him to a deal, or they flipped him. But he's been moving around, so we'll see what happens with his situation. But they got Colin Holderman. This is really not an impressive rotation. When it comes to the bats, Andy Rodriguez out for the year. You got Henry Davis, who was was Henry Davis the number one overall pick, or is he the number one overall prospect at one point? He was the number one overall pick. He was the number one overall pick out of he's from Bedford, New York. Went to Louisville. That was 2021. Wow. So Henry Davis will probably start. First base is going to be Rowdy Tellez, one of the best deals in baseball in terms of team-friendly contracts. I think they're going to get a lot out of Tellez for what they signed him for. Second base, Ji-Hwan Bae. He's a solid player. Third base, Brian Hayes, who I have high hopes he's going to, become that power hitter that I've been hoping this year. He's already probably the best third base defensive player in the league. I know it's a lot to say, but
yeah, I mean, he won the
Brian just win.
He did, but I wouldn't say that automatically makes him the best defensive player in the league.
Let's say he's top three: Machado, Arenado, and Cabrian. And is Machado still up there in defense at this point, or?
Yeah, he's still very good.
Yeah. You got O'Neal Cruz coming back from a significant leg injury last year. Missed virtually. I don't know. Did he miss the entire season, or it happened like week 1 when it happened? He missed the entire season, I think. Yeah. So he is an alien. Like he gets so compared to Ellie De La Cruz for obvious reasons. They're both like 6'7". They're both lanky, and they both have skills that pop off the paper. They're both very toolsy and very, very alien-like players. Connor Joe starting in left, Brian Reynolds in center. They actually have Henry Davis in right, but I bet you Jack Sawinski slots in there now that Andy Rodriguez is gone. I don't hate the lineup this year. It's a lot better than last year, in my opinion. They got Andrew McCutchen back for a deal that could and Edward Olivares, who had some pop with the Royals. We'll see what happens, but Pirates need to do a lot there.
But they've at least made moves.
Yeah. The exciting part about the Pirates, out of the moves, is...
Yeah, I was going to say this, but yeah, go.
Is the prospects, and I'll let... Unless you had something specifically you want to start off with there.
No, I was just going to mention Johnson and Skeens.
Yeah, they have Tamar Johnson, second player in their system. He's a second baseman. He's in high A. He'll be up next year. You got Paul Skeens, who could virtually be up this year, I think. He was the first overall pick out of LSU this year. He's coming up this year. I don't think there's anything stopping Skeens.
He's predicted to come up this year. I think we talked about this. Either me and you talked about this, or one of my coworkers who's in the Dynasty League with us. I said that Skeens is predicted. He was saying he doesn't think he's going to come up. But he doesn't know anything, so who cares?
In their top 10, prospects right now, they got Jared Jones, Anthony Salametto, Bubba Chandler, Thomas Harrington, Mike Burrows, Hunter Barco, Jackson Wolf, and guess what? They're all pitchers. This is exactly what Pittsburgh needs to be doing. They need a rotation and bullpen guys because the lineup's going to be there with Brian Hayes, who just signed an extension. You got Reynolds. You got O'Neal Cruz. You got some pieces you can mess around with, and if other things work out with Tamar Johnson or something, you might have a really nice infield for a long time in Pittsburgh. And Henry Davis and Andy Rodriguez. And Andy will be out all year this year. I'll point that out.
Yeah. Johnson, unfortunately, he was super high.
Yeah, I think he tore his ACL or something like that.
Ranking wise, but I think the past year, in the minors, he hasn't played great.
Yeah. We'll speed this up. Cubs, next team on the docket, they went 83 and 79 last year. Cubs really impressed me statistically. They were 11th in batting average, 6th in OBP, 17th in strikeouts, meaning they were in the bottom third of the league in striking out, which is good. They were, not swinging and missing. Then you have the pitching, which tells me exactly what I thought. They were 14th in ERA, 15th in WHIP, exactly average. And then they were top 10 in stolen bases, which did shock me. I didn't realize Nico Horner had 43 stolen bags last year. And Cody Bellinger, I also did not realize, I mentioned earlier, had 20. So Bellinger is not just a bat. He's got some legs. Yeah, I think the Cubs need to make some more moves if they want to, compete this year. I think it's a very winnable NL Central, considering the first couple teams we mentioned. I think that they could, I don't have anyone in this division breaking 90 games this year. I don't have anyone in this division breaking 87 games this year. So, 87 wins, I should say. Cubs, the depth chart right now, real quick, rotation: Hendricks, Justin Steele, Jameson Taillon, Shota Imanaga, and Javier Assad. It's a solid rotation. It's not going to win you a World Series. It might be able to win you a wild card game. I don't think it's going to win you a playoff series, though. I think you need to go get Jordan Montgomery or a Blake Snell here to compete. The bullpen, they just signed Hector Neris, which I like. I think Alzolay is going to be, Alzolay I think is going to be their closer. Not really sure how this is going to play out. I'm not a fan of the bullpen. Catcher, not a fan of Yan Gomes or Miguel Amaya. Patrick Wisdom, he does not hit. He's not a great hitter. I think he's like a career 200 or 230 hitter. Can you actually look that up while I keep going? Nico Horner, Patrick Wisdom. They got Nick Madrigal, Nico Horner, Chris Morel kind of locking down second and third throughout the season. Then Dansby Swanson, who's a great ball player at short. The outfield I like a lot. Ian Happ, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Seiya Suzuki. Multiple people are saying Pete Crow Armstrong might be the best defensive center fielder in baseball already. I find that hard to make that claim just because, you got to play some games there. But he is a spectacular glove, Pete Crow Armstrong. Ian Happ's great. Seiya Suzuki's a solid player. Cubs, they need to address the pitching and maybe go get another bat. I say go re-sign Belly, maybe go after Chapman, and that way you can ease up your third base from being Nick Madrigal. If you get Chapman and Snell, I think this team goes from a solid team to they could win a playoff series, maybe two. Especially if Christopher Morel continues to develop. Do you have anything specific on the Cubs you want to address or guys you like for them? Has Belly been going there the entire time in your head, or?
No.
Okay.
I think he's just going where the money is.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Cardinals. Now, this is the most interesting team in the division, in my opinion. They were not good last year. They were 20 games below 500, 71 and 91. The thing is, the statistics, they weren't good, but they weren't terrible either. They were 22nd in the league in least amount of strikeouts, meaning they were patient at the bat. They were 11th on OBP, 15th in batting average, and they were 20th in stolen bases. When it came to the pitching was terrible. So statistically, the pitching was awful. The bats were okay. Let's look at the the depth chart here. And you got Sonny Gray, who they just added. You got Miles Mikolas, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, Zach Thompson. Outside of that, the rotation, I don't think made that big of a jump. They obviously got Lance Lynn back, and they went out Sonny Gray. But yeah, it's just, it's not like they made altering moves that are going to change my opinion on this team in terms of the rotation. The next thing was that the Cardinals have probably one of the better lineups in all baseball. They returned Goldschmidt and Arenado. They're both veterans. They're probably both at the back end. Goldie came off a bad year last year. He was starting to show signs of coming back to life and not being this, fantastic
Signs of
baseball
aging,
player.
maybe. I would say
Yeah,
signs of aging rather
yeah,
than coming back to life. Yeah.
yeah, that would be the better way to phrase it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Wilson Contreras, very good hitting catcher, but he's 32 now. I just don't. They got Tommy Edman, they got Jordan Walker, they got Helsley in the pen, they got Kittredge in the pen. I think they drastically made the pen better with Middleton. They went out and got Kittredge. Helsley is going to be healthy this year. But outside of Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, Carlson, Goldschmidt, Arenado, they just signed Matt Carpenter to a deal. They got Brendan Donovan back. They got some guys. I think they can run it back and take this division. So I don't think we have to go deep on the Cardinals. This is a winning tradition and has been for a long time. Do you think there's anything that the Cardinals really need to do here in order to compete for this year? I think they could take the division this year.
Yeah, you had them winning a lot of games. You just have to hope Mason Wynn and Jordan Walker develop. In particular, Jordan Walker. I'm writing a Jordan Walker piece right now. You have to hope that they continue to develop in the way that they think they're going to. Walker's still super young, so I really don't think he's going to make a giant jump this year. I've been looking into it because I want to decide if I should keep Jordan Walker or not in fantasy baseball in our 5-keeper league. And right now, I've talked myself. I'm almost talking myself out of it because his stats last year were just very much mediocre, good in the sense that he's 20 years old jumping into the MLB, great in the sense that he's 20 years old in the MLB, but he's not a superstar for another 3 years. So if he's not developing quick and Goldschmidt and Arenado keep regressing, then I don't think the Cardinals are going to win the division like you're saying. So I would disagree with that when you get to those predictions.
A big reason why I think they can do it, outside of going out and signing one of these guys, I think they're going to call up Tink Hence, one of their top prospects. I think he might have a solid impact on this team. So far, all levels in baseball, he has a 119 whip. He's thrown 203 strikeouts across 164 innings. He, ERA is a 3.5, and his strikeouts over 9 is 11.1. He looks like a real deal pitcher. Hopefully he can put it together for the majors. I know that's a big jump always to get to the majors, but they call him up and he's solid with, you got to think with Mikolas, Lance Lynn being an innings eater, and then Sonny Gray, the rotation can get it done. But I don't know. That's my only thing causing my, frustration with my prediction. I think that'll be the thing that will cause it to deteriorate my prediction if the pitching doesn't go well. Finally, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, it's just Lance Lynn is not really someone to rely on.
He's an innings eater, but during the regular season, I think he can get a few quality starts and escape from some games. They didn't have Lance Lynn like that.
Miles Mikolas was just so bad. I don't even care if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. He sucked last year on my fantasy team. He was just bad last year.
I might be pronouncing it wrong, honestly. That's a tough name.
And they're old. They don't have a young rotation either.
No, it's definitely not young. It's up there.
It's average mid-30s.
Yeah, and finally, the one team that, won 92 games last year, I think is going to have a significant jump back, and that's because they just made a significant move. It is the Milwaukee Brewers, and they just traded their ace, Corbin Burns.
Well, you're saying jump back. Some of the words you're using are contradicting each other.
What do you mean?
You said jump back.
What was the content? I don't even remember how I said it.
It was just that you're saying they're going to fall back essentially.
Fall back, jump back in the standings.
Regress.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say drop back in the standings.
So I think they're going to definitely, I should have said taking a step back. That would have been what I was looking for.
You got a lot of tongue twisters today.
You're flustering me with these Boston Red Sox takes. The pitching is not there anymore. Woodruff is done for the year, most likely, or he is done for the year. Corbin Burns is no longer there. Freddie Peralta now went from probably one of the best threes in the majors to now one of the worst ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean he was like that great depth guy that they had, and now he's an ace. It's not that he's a bad pitcher, but he's not ace material.
Yeah, it's like now they're like compared to all 30 teams, number one guy, where does Freddie Peralta
Yeah,
rank? And it's like, yeah, he's
yeah,
better than Houston, like Oakland's number one guy, but like, you know,
yeah,
it's Oakland. Um, they got Ashby, they got DL Hall, they just acquired, who they think is going to be a reliever for them. Jacob Junis. They got Trevor McGill, Wade Miley, Freddie Peralta, Colin Ray, Devin Williams is going to be their closer, Bryce Wilson. So, and they have a way with arms. Maybe they could produce, and they got Jacob Mizorowski, that prospect. Got a lot going on over there. That prospect
yeah.
that they have high hopes for. Maybe he could be something. But we'll come back to the arms in a little bit. Let's talk about the lineup. William Contreras, awesome behind the dish. They got Eric Haas back there, Jefferson Cuero in the minors. They got Gary Sanchez now. Catching, they're stacked. Infielders, you got to think that they are going with, at first base, they'll be going with, Reese Hoskins, who they just signed. Awesome upgrade. They got Bryce Trang, who could have had a better year last year as his debut. He was not great. Third base, Andrew Monasterio. I think they could upgrade there. That would be a team to go get Chapman, honestly, because if they add Chapman with Willie Adames and the rest of the pieces here, and Yelich, they have Jackson Chourio, they just signed, who's coming up, and Sal Frelick. This is a really exciting lineup. And I don't think that paper last year, the stats did a good job of telling that because they were 23rd in batting average, 17th in OBP, middle of the pack when it came to striking out. And they were middle of the pack in terms on the bases and aggressiveness. So, yeah, the pitching regressed, the hitting, like they're not going to get Chapman because they're not going to go spend. That's not Milwaukee's way. But they got Chourio. Chourio looks like he's a surefire candidate to be a stud in this league. What are your thoughts on Chourio?
I don't know, like prospect scouting, but they gave him a bunch of money when he's 19 years old, so that's good enough for me.
Yeah, fair enough. I
And his
don't, I'm
statistics,
not.
his very simple statistics. Oh yeah, like I have no idea if those stats from minors like translate to the MLB. I'm not smart, so but people smarter than me think it will. So
Yeah, I'm not. I know prospects a little bit, but I really know the big names of people talking about them. Not nothing like in depth. Like I
well,
never went to scout
he's
school.
like the biggest name next to Jackson Holiday. But in terms of like being able to sit here and like, well, his hard hit rate is amazing. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's supposed to be really good. I think the Brewers. I think they're sneakily gonna find a way to brew crew again and just like be a solid team. I don't think that they're going to have 90 plus wins again like last year, but they're going to be good. That being said, if you're still with us, the last few minutes here before I got to jump, the projected standings. So Pirates, I projected last
Nevertheless,
year.
these are the standings.
I didn't say it. I
I
held
know you
off.
said that being said.
Uh, Pirates, I have them going 77-85. They're going to win maybe one more game than last year. They went 76-86 last year. They're just not there yet. They'll probably finish last in the division. Surprisingly, which I thought was a hot take, but then I read it again and again. I'm like, unless the Cubs doing something, they're coming in fourth in this division, in my opinion. I think I have them at exactly 81-81, 500. They went 83-79 last year. They lost Belly until they bring him back. They don't have him back. They only brought in Imanaga, really, and in terms of major pieces to add, and I just don't see it. You know, Wisdom's still starting. Madrigal had a strikeout problem for a little bit, and we saw it last year where he had spurts of batting like not even his weight. Not Madrigal. I'm sorry. Christopher Morel. Madrigal is a good hitter, but he was injured a couple years ago, and he's just a hitter. Like he's really a contact hitter. He's not a power hitter. Seiya Suzuki, yeah, he's a good ball player. Ian Happ's a great ball player. PCA, I haven't seen many people talk about the bat the way they talk about the arm and the glove. So there's a lot of questions here with the Cubs. So they're going to have fourth, 81 and 81. My prediction. Third place, I have the Milwaukee Brewers, 83-79. Second place, I have the Reds. 84 and 78. I think a lot of people are high in them, and I am high on them too, but I'm not trying to get over high. I think the pitching still has a lot of work to go before we could deem them this like awesome, stable of arms type system, or organization, I should say there. And then finally, I have the Cardinals coming back from 71-91 and up, going up to 87 and 75 in the standings. I think they're going to win in first place this year in the National League Central. I think they're going to get their, lack of better terms, I think they're going to get their crap together. And I think they're going to be a decent ball team this year, pending the pitching. But that's my take on the NL Central. Thoughts?
Sorry, someone just DM'd saying, "Do you want the top 2% of video editors at 50% of the cost?" I'm saying no. It's a spam bot. I don't agree with the Cardinals take. But that's about it. I would probably switch. I feel like I have more faith in the Cubs than I do the Cardinals. No, I would probably put the Reds.
Fair enough. Well,
Yeah,
thank you
I'm gonna go
again
with the
for
Reds. Just in my head, I'm gonna say the Reds are gonna win the division.
Okay. Fair enough. I like that. Well, let's let our listeners go on with their weekends. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed and have a great day.
Bye.